Welcome back everyone to more of our custom career mode and VR gameplay. And our last race at Indianapolis, a crown jewel event, was incredibly weird. So many different things were going on in that race. The AI's pit strategy was all over the place and has me questioning what I want to do in future events. We had a chance to race for the victory toward the end of that race, but ultimately it did not turn out well for us. So many questions, so many weird things happening in that race. Let's get into the numbers real quick. So, of course, we qualified at the rear. The incident count, we're going to come back to that in just a second. But our finish, dead last. With this being a crown jewel event, this was our opportunity. Particularly racing for a win, we could have made a huge, huge payday with that event, but I dare not type that in just to see what it would be, because that would just make that sickening feeling I have in the pit of my stomach even worse. If you haven't had a chance to watch the race, I definitely recommend, if for nothing else, to see the end, or at least the end for us to that race. We were racing for the victory, and then, well, you'll see when I go over the replay at the end of that race, if you haven't already had an opportunity. Now, the incident count. Our incident count was 4. We only had that one accident, that only one set of contact there, but it did so much damage to the truck. Normally, I would double that to 8, but that's $2,700 worth of damage. We ruined a rear clip on that truck. In fact, at the very end of that video, you can see we were dog tracking pretty badly, just trying to keep it going straight to get back to pit road. So what does it do if I go to 50? That's 17 grand, which is a lot, but let's go 100, because we ruined that the back end of that truck. There's so much damage that was done back there. Nearly 35 grand, I can live with that. Still probably not enough, but at least it's something that I can live with. So we made 63 grand for the race. Of course, we bring home our sponsorship money. So that puts us well over 100 grand that we made. But then we had to spend about 35 grand of that on extensive repairs. So Indianapolis was just weird all around. There, we could spend an entire video just talking about everything that happened during the course of that race, but we're going to move on. And the first thing we're going to do before we focus our attention on the next race at Homestead, we're going to hop over to the classifieds and see where we are. We're sitting at 457 grand. Keep in mind, had we not got into that accident, we might have had enough to go ahead and purchase next year's truck. Maybe. Because that being a crown jewel event in the trucks, the payout would have been huge. Much larger than anything we've ever seen to this point in our career. So 457, we need 630, so we still need a couple of $100 grand. So as we focus our attention back on the remainder of this season, we'll have to see. We know we're going to have some sponsorship money that's going to give us over 150 grand for the remainder of these 3 races. The key is, how much money can we make on the race purse itself? I don't know that we're going to have enough. So what we'll do is, if we finish up Michigan and we still don't have our 630 grand that we need to start next season, we'll simply run a few more races. We'll start the schedule over with Vegas and Atlanta and so on until we do have enough money to make it happen. So that's what we'll do. It's not going to end up being a big deal. We're going to play this pretty loose with the schedule, just like we did with the super late models. So now Homestead, we're going to get back to our normal length race, our 70 laps. We'll bring the caution clock in. Hopefully it will do its job. And our biggest hope is that we have some good, clean racing. All right, folks, here we are. Homestead-Miami Speedway.
Follow car number 03 in the outside column.
Everybody's got a lot to say here at the beginning of the race, so we'll let these guys talk as much as we can. But as we get ready to take the green,
catch up to car number 03.
Line up on the inside. Pit road is closed. Catch stop 3, car.
This feels like the forgotten Speedway. On the front stretch, we've got tons of fans stacked up to the sky, but on the backstretch it just feels empty, almost abandoned. Look back here. There's nothing back here. There's no buildings to see. There's no stands for fans. There's no anything. No campers that we can see. I mean, it's just, it looks abandoned back here. I mean, thankfully we got a few signs on the entry of 3, because otherwise there would literally be nothing to see back here. But I feel like this track has been forgotten by NASCAR. Ever since it lost the championship event, NASCAR is trying to feel it out, figure out where they want to put this track. But we're using AI skill spread 110 to 125. Let's see what we've got.
Pace car's in. Green flag, green flag.
All right, we're using the Homestead iRacing speed setup. So no changes to it. So we're just going to see how it works out.
Outside.
And of course, it's Homestead, and there's no way we can leave Homestead without running the high side. Much like we talked about with Atlanta.
Got one outside.
I mean, it's a rite of passage. You have to do it.
3 wide, you're on the bottom. Outside, still there. Still there.
Trying to feel this thing out. Oh, yeah, a little touchy there.
Stop.
This 1.5 miles is different than the other 1.5 miles. The way you run it, the speeds, the fact that you're off the gas as much as you are, even on new tires.
Hold your line.
Wow. Right on the bottom here.
Hold your line.
Well, Timmy Hill's not going to give us any room over here. That's fine. Our good buddy Matt DiBenedetto is on the outside up there, who wrecked us for a victory at Indianapolis. Now, are we looking for redemption?
The leader's just done a 33.6.
Are we looking for revenge?
16th place.
And no, the answer is no, we're not looking for any of those things. We're looking for a great race. Woo. Okay, yep, that was definitely a little bit loose. Still in the first few laps of the race, though, so we'll try to let that work itself out. Now, Kofoid goes to the top, and of course, it looks like he just threw out a parachute up there. That's where I want to be, but remember, tire wear is pretty excessive up there.
Your lap time was at 34.2.
Kofoid's like, okay, I'm going to go back down here to the bottom of the track, and then he looks and I'm even below that. So it looks like the AI do not use the very bottom groove.
Got one outside. Clear outside.
So just trying to be smart here early on. Trying to pass cars that we can pass. I mean, we're almost to the top 15.
P15.
So that alone is really good. So we're just going to keep doing what we're doing right now.
Okay, Brian, your refuel window will open on lap 25. It'll close on lap 48.
Oh boy, refueling. Still having flashbacks to Indianapolis about all of that.
Stay low.
So speaking of pit windows and refueling, the caution clock should be in the top right hand corner for you guys, but as I will remind you, or attempt to remind you each video, that doesn't necessarily mean it's always working properly. Sometimes it may just not work properly. So you guys will know it's not working well before I will. I won't know until we've generally been getting the 20 minutes run out about halfway in these races, so somewhere around 33 to 35 laps into a run.
P12.
It does give warnings at 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and then 1 minute, but I don't always see those. All right, so we've managed to run up to the 12th position, so we do have some speed. Yeah, nobody running up top. So right now, I'm just sort of chilling out down here on the bottom.
Keep it up, keep digging.
Trying to take care of the tires here early on in the run. Yeah, really loose there if I try to get aggressive back to the throttle in the center of the corner. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It could come back to help us actually toward the end of the run. Could help us to get some turn in the truck even later into a run, but that's a hope.
Outside.
It's not a guarantee by any stretch.
Clear.
All right, so another pass down. That puts us just outside the top 10. You know, I talked about running the bottom, but if we're going to make up spots like this, then yeah, we're going to stay down here. Because I have the tire wear at the forefront of my mind, because we want a great finish here.
D11.
And the way we get a great finish is just to do smart things and try to take care of the truck. Try not to get any contact, you know, like when people run over you, things like that.
Outside. Clear outside.
Try to stay out of traffic if you can, because the traffic, of course, that dirty air makes the tires have to work harder.
10th position.
So that's one of the reasons why I'm trying to run down at the bottom. Now, you might also be thinking that, well, nobody's running the bottom either, so what's the difference between the bottom and the top on tire wear if nobody's running either? Because neither one of them are going to rubber up if nobody's down there. Well, it seems, and I could be wrong about this, but it seems that iRacing's system for the live track
Stay on the bottom.
rubbers up the bottom and leaves the top unrubbered unless a lot of people use it. So it seems as though it's...
You've just done at 34.9.
It does seem as though the bottom will always rubber up for the purposes of tire wear. And then you slowly move up the track, and it does it that way. That's not the way it would work realistically, of course, but I think they had to make some decisions, and that's just sort of the way they did it. I heard of some testing. Now, this has been, you know, a few years back at this point, but I heard about some testing some guys did about this, running only the top side in a practice session and only the bottom rubbered up. The bottom and then into the middle a little bit. So it almost seems like that's how it's going to happen regardless of where you're running. And I can definitely see some programming reasons to do that. Even though it's certainly not what we would prefer from a realism point of view.
Keep to the bottom.
But that's all just speculation on my part. I could be 100% wrong, and may very well be.
Clear the top.
But right now,
The gap behind is now 0.3.
so remember, skill spread 110 to 125, which is what we've been using other than Indianapolis, which I had to lower some because they were just so much faster there. But with that skill spread being maxed out on the AI skill, we're using the Homestead setup, not the open setup,
Okay,
but the
reeling.
simply the iRacing Homestead setup. And it's looking pretty good. I mean, I can't really complain about it. It's never going to be perfect. It's just, you know, not how setups work. But so far, I mean, we got to be doing pretty good because look who's in front of us. Hocevar. We have run down Carson Hocevar, and I believe that's Majeski just in front of him. I mean,
Lap times are pretty consistent.
Got one outside.
I must be doing something okay. Because you don't run with guys like this unless you've got some good speed. And we are inside the top 10. So I'm just going to keep doing this. I want to run the high side, and there's a part of my brain, the fun side of my brain, that says, look, you just got to do it. But right now, we just keep moving forward. So let's just do what's working right now, and we'll see how the rest of the race goes.
P7.
Got one outside.
I'm going to try to be on the lookout for those warnings for the caution clock, and hopefully I will see them. Hopefully it's working. Because I cannot wait. Because you know it's coming as well as I do. There's going to be a time when the caution clock doesn't work, and I'm expecting it, and we're going to get to, you know, that 20-minute mark, or at least as close as I can tell from my end, since I can't see it. And I'm gonna be waiting for it, and it's not gonna happen.
P6.
We are in P6 now. This is a rebound. Trying to paint that white line right now because the truck just is handling good down here. Of course, it's gotten tight as the run has gone on. We're in 18, so I figure somewhere around halfway. So somewhere around 33 to 35, maybe a little bit earlier here, simply because the lap times are slower. You have the fall off, but the lap times are slower anyway than most of the mile and a halves. So I figure it might come, you know, a lap or two sooner or something like that. Oh yeah, that's an amazing run off the corner there.
Outside.
So just trying to back up the entry some.
Stop.
And trying to be easy with the gas. Fortunately, on exit, once I get back to the gas in the middle, I can generally either leave it to the floor or very close to it. I'm not having to play with the gas a lot on exit. Like right there, I'm already back to it full throttle. Car is handling great. So no need to back out of it at all. We're in the 5th position. Now, this gives us an opportunity to talk about something else. If you're not familiar with iRacing, or if you're new to the AI portion of it, something that you can experiment with if you find that the AI, like we're experiencing here,
Your lap time was 35.6.
where the AI are at max difficulty on the top end, and you're like, well, I want these guys to go faster. How do I do it? Well, change the time of day. You're going to notice that the closer you get to nighttime, the AI run very dependent speeds based on the temperature. So if you get lower track temperatures and air temperatures, you're going to get faster AI. Now, you're going to get faster as well, but I think right now, the way it's working, or at least as of last time I checked anyway, the AI gain more speed at night than the player does. So if you want to speed them up, that's a way you can do it. Now, I'm going to stay away from using night races without testing first, because I feel like it could be a lot harder on my computer. And of course, with everything that we got going on right now with VR, I'm trying to keep the stresses as manageable as possible. So I run all the races at noon. That's sort of my default. That's my baseline with the AI. But that's something I would definitely test if you're looking to speed up the AI, is run later in the day or at night. But they're very temperature sensitive in their speed. Even more so, apparently, than the player. So they gain more at night than the player, at least last time I checked it. So it's worth checking out anyway, if that's something you're struggling with. Now, let's get an update here. We're on lap 23. We're in the top 5, which is awesome.
That last lap was at 35.7.
35.7 means nothing to me. I don't have enough experience at this track.
The gap behind is now 0.8.
All I need to know right now is what he just told me, the gap behind. If he will just give me more information about the gap behind, and then sometimes the gap in front. But what I really need to know is behind, because I can't see behind me very well. So if he'll give me that, I'll be a happy man. The visual glitches on the front stretch in particular those are things that just sort of get on your nerves. And again, I believe it's LOD switching. The light poles on pit road in each pit box, those are driving me crazy whenever I notice them, because they're flashing in and out the different LODs, and you can see that as we're going down the front stretch. I would imagine that's showing, because it's waiting until we get very close to them to draw them in fully, which that's all back to the graphic settings that I'm having to use.
Now 1.0 seconds.
Okay, gap behind. All right, I like it. That means we've pulled a couple of tenths on him in the last few laps, so that means he's not catching us. That's what I need to know. That's good information. And remember, if you're new to the series, that's the crew chief program. It is a separate program, an add-in to iRacing. It is a free program.
Gap to Smith. Ahead is now 2.2 seconds.
So you can search crew chief for iRacing. It works for several different games, but iRacing being the most popular really among those. And you can find it's free to download. Very helpful. A lot of configuration settings. But I'm using that for some crew chief functions, but I'm leaving the iRacing spotter on.
Pit window is open.
All right, pit window is open. I hope nobody comes in right now. But now that I mention that,
is now 1.0 seconds.
I've not seen the caution clock warnings. Not 10 minutes, not 5 minutes, not 1 minute. I haven't seen anything. What lap are we on now? 28? Yeah, I should have definitely seen the 10-minute warning and probably the 5-minute warning as well, just off the top of my head. All right, yeah, these tires have worn quite a bit. We are falling behind these guys in front, which I can't really be mad about, because after all, we're in the top 5. Truck's still handling beautifully. But yeah, if you want to keep me from trying out the top of the track, this is how to do it. Let me come from the back to the top 5 during a fuel run. That will do it. It's working too well. I don't need to change it. All right, so I see the guy behind us, whoever that is.
All right, Brian. Lap times are pretty consistent.
Guy behind us is catching us, which is not surprising, as I see the guys in front are getting smaller and smaller. But we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. All right, he's to our outside now.
Outside.
We'll help the spotter out a little bit now.
Keep to the bottom. Clear to the top. Outside. Keep to the bottom.
Really trying to hug this white line.
Stay on the bottom.
Trying to give him plenty of room. No reason to try to squeeze him.
Keep to the bottom.
I'm also trying to keep as much speed as I can, because even though he is going to pass us, I prefer not to have, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars pass us. All right, we're on lap 31. I've seen no warnings from the caution clock.
P6.
Still there.
So that's interesting. That means that we're going to have green flag pit stops unless we get a natural caution, which it doesn't appear is going to happen with everybody being this spread out. So unless somebody blows a tire.
Clear to stop. Got one outside. Stay on the bottom.
All right, I'm not seeing anybody in the pits yet.
You're on the bottom. You're back in fifth. Hold your line. Hold your line. Got one outside. Still there. 3 wide. You're on the bottom. Got one outside. Still there. Right front tire's wearing out. Still there.
All right.
Clear outside.
We finally got our warning that the right front tire is wearing out. I forget exactly what percentage that warning comes to you.
Got one outside.
But we are
Still
close
there.
enough now to
Stay on
pitting,
the
so I'm
bottom.
not terribly worried about it. Oh, look out.
Clear outside.
Maybe I should be.
7th position.
All right, so we're just trying to maintain. Now, we're at lap 34. I've seen no warnings of any kind about the caution clock. So at this point, I don't believe it's working. And again, you guys will know that long before I will. You guys might not even be seeing it on your screen right now thinking, yeah, it's not even here, much less working.
Keep to the bottom. Clear to the top.
So it looks like we're going to have to make green flag pit stops, which is not the end of the world. I just hope the AI can do, you know, a smooth job. I'm going to try to do a smooth job. That's
Got one
easier said than
outside.
done, especially with
Still
terrible
there.
tires like we have right now.
Clear to the top.
But we are definitely, nobody's in yet.
Okay, we're halfway to the finish.
All right, we're halfway, and the best way, I think, we are 3 wide right
That's
now.
halfway. Should be about
Oh.
14 laps remaining on this tank.
Inside.
The gap
3
in
wide.
front is
Give me.
increased to 1.7
Oh,
seconds.
we're in the middle of
Hold
3
your line.
wide. There you go. Now we're getting some excitement. This is how you get a caution flag, by the way.
Hold your line. Clear. Still there. Still there. You're in the middle. 3 wide. Clear to the bottom. Still
Oh,
there.
little contact
Still
there.
there. Clear to the top.
So yeah, we're definitely falling back now. All right, so we're going to have to prepare to make a green flag pit stop. This ought to be
That
fun.
was 36.8.
All right, I need to keep him on my outside. So I'm going to drop to the bottom. Of course, there's no way to wave here to an AI truck and let him know anything.
Outside. Keep to the bottom. Clear outside.
Watch your speed. The pit lane speed limit is 50 miles per hour. Okay, Brian, we'll fuel you to the end of the race.
3, 2, 1.
All right, we're going to have to be
Right
easy
here.
on this because tires are worn out. Okay, not too bad. I went a little slower on pit lane just to make sure we didn't get caught speeding.
That's it. Go.
So very interesting, the caution clock is not working.
There's traffic behind. Watch your mirrors. Don't cross the white line.
Outside. Clear.
All right, here we go. So we came into the pits about halfway, roughly. So no caution clock. Let's see what happens. I'm still not seeing anybody. So remember, we've got differing strategies in the pits
Got one outside.
You're last.
for the AI.
Clear to the top.
Okay, we'll be the lucky dog. Let's keep this position.
All right, so where is... Okay, nobody's out there. I couldn't tell.
Got one outside.
I hesitate to go back down here because I know if
Stay on
these
the bottom.
guys
Clear outside.
start to pit under green, then obviously I'm going to be right in the way.
That lap was a 34.3.
Got one outside. Clear.
All right, Brian, you're gaining on this car. The gap is 19 seconds.
All right, so we're not worried about gaps or anything like that right now. Fortunately,
Outside.
the AI generally
Clear outside.
send the messages that they are about to pit to let you know when they are. And I haven't seen any messages yet from anybody pitting.
Got one outside. Clear outside.
So I'm trying to watch for that. So now we're hoping for no cautions. If we weren't going to get the caution clock, which, let's be real, because of what we've seen from AI pitting behavior from time to time, I may have to turn it off anyway and just not use it because the AI, unless I can figure out how to make them pit only under those yellows, how I can configure the caution clock to make that happen correctly,
Outside.
then yeah, we may have to get rid of that anyway. And that's okay. I mean, I certainly don't mind making green flag pit stops. Live pit stops are fun. I'm terrible at them, but they're fun. It'll be something I'll have to put more effort into. I was very conservative that time. I didn't know what pit's road speed was. I didn't know how much grip we would have coming into the pits to slow down. You know, there was just so many unknowns. I figured it was better to go on the safe side. But right now, I mean, we're running with the top 7 on the track. Of course, this is about where we were.
The gap is 12 seconds.
So I'm guessing these guys are all going to simply run it out of fuel. Is that what they're going to do? That's when they're waiting to pit? Nobody's going to short pit? Very interesting that the strategy is working out that way.
Push now. We need to pass this guy to get the lucky dog position.
Pass this guy. So he's obviously talking about somebody else. He's not talking about the 42.
Outside.
I believe that's the 19 seconds he was referencing that we're behind. So we can't see that person on our screen right now.
Your last lap time was at 34.6.
So I'm just trying to be nice and smooth. You can see how much faster I am than the AI. This should put us in good position because none of them have come in yet. So we're just out here running great laps. Now they're certainly going to be faster than me when they do come in. But I feel like we're getting the benefit of a lot of laps on these new tires, whereas they are not. So I think this is going to end up in our favor. We shall see. I'm still very surprised that nobody has come in on the same schedule as us, running about halfway. Very surprised. The AI pitting has always been the most frustrating part of the iRacing AI experience for me. Is I've seen them do a lot of crazy things during during green flag pit stops, like cutting straight across the track in front of a group of cars to get to pit road. I mean, just crazy stuff. And now this strategy issue, you know, we'll just have to see how it goes. We were on the right side of the strategy at Indy. Now, the contact and the wreck and all that made it not work out for us, but had that not happened, we'd have been racing for the win.
Okay, Brian, we're gaining on the car in front. The gap's now 3.2 seconds.
And we are gaining. How are they not hitting already? I am so confused right now.
Outside. Stay on the bottom.
So confused right now.
Keep slow.
But we're going with it. We've got a plan.
Clear outside.
We're sticking to it. I still like my plan. I just thought that there would be more AI on that plan. Not all of them, but more of them.
Stay low.
There we go. All right, Lawless Allen's coming in. All right, where is he?
Row.
All right, he's not around us. So now's where we're going to have to pay attention, really pay attention. All right, I don't see, yeah, I do. I see one truck in there right now.
324.
I'm going to start to work up higher a little bit here. I still don't want to get all the way to the top because I think we got a real shot at this thing. And a great finish podium, maybe even higher. So I'm not interested in wearing my tires out by running the high side now. I've just sort of put that out of my mind. A chance at a victory will do that to you.
Got one outside.
Okay, Brian. There's a car exiting the pits. Heads up.
20 to go to stretch.
21st.
Got one outside. Clear.
All right, there comes Lawless Allen. So John Hunter up in front is the leader.
The gap to Anderson behind is increasing. It's now 1.0.
So if we want to unlap ourselves, just in case we do get a caution, well, there he is, right up there. We'll start using, moving around a little bit, try to use this middle groove, try to run similar line to what the AI are running when we have an opportunity. That should save the tires a little bit more, possibly. The bottom still is my preferred groove. And keep in mind, as these guys come into pit, whenever they start doing that, I thought Lawless Allen was going to bring more. He did not.
20th place.
But as these guys start to come into pit, they're going to be faster. All right, there we go. John Hunter, the leader, is coming into the pit. So right around lap 52, 53. Let's see how many people come in with him.
You're reeling Wood in. The gap's now 2.3.
Outside.
All right, there's Lawless Allen coming back by us.
Stay on the bottom.
So he's going to have some good speed.
That car is a lap down. Clear to stop.
Rhodes is now in the lead.
All right, Austin Wayne Self now coming into the pit. So that's what we're going to have to deal with here to the end of the race. We're going to be slower than these guys. But how much time did we make up by coming in all those laps earlier and simply having better tires for something like 18 to 20 laps, as it's going to turn out for most of these guys.
18th, the leader, Rhodes, is pitting.
There we go. Now they're starting to come in. Ben Rhodes coming in now. Leaders are starting to file into pit road. We are in 19th and on the lead lap at this point. All right, our good buddy DiBenedetto is coming in now.
Okay, Brian, the next car is Wood.
All right, Wood did not come in yet. And I have not seen a message from him. By the way, I love the fact
B14.
you can see we're moving up through the order.
The leader is pitting now. Wood is getting closer. The gap's now 0.5.
All right, here we go. So as we move up through the standings,
Gray is now leading.
I got down into the corner and realized, you know what, he might be coming into the pits. I might need to leave him alone. So there they all come now. So essentially, the AI all ran it out of fuel. I don't know how long you can run on fuel at this place, but I would imagine this is about the limit. Remember, lap times and everything are slower here than at traditional mile and a halves.
The leader, Gray, is pitting. The car in front is pitting.
So it makes sense that you could go several more laps. Because I think around 45 laps is at a normal normal mile-and-a-half
There's a
track.
car leaving the pits.
So yeah, I could see this many laps with the fall off and the slower lap times.
You're now in the lead.
All right, it says we're in the lead right now. Let's see if that holds up. We've got guys that are going to be
Got
just
one inside.
blowing by us at this point.
Outside.
And I'm trying to stay out of the way.
Keep to the bottom. Keep to the bottom.
Because if they're faster... Okay, here comes John Hunter.
Outside. Next car's the leader. Still there. Clear.
P2.
You're in second.
All right, he says second, which is interesting. Because now we're going to get to the point where we're fighting for positions.
Stay right there.
So we've got nothing for the leader. We know
The
that.
gap in front has increased. It's now about 1.1.
Yeah, we're not worried about John Hunter. We couldn't even see John Hunter before we pitted. He was so far in front of us. So we made up all of that.
Smith is getting closer. The gap's come down to 0.6.
So we made up all of that time with the fresh tires. But now he's going to put it right back on us
Keep high.
here at the end.
Keep high. Clear inside.
All right, there goes Chandler Smith for position. All right, about 10 laps to go. I believe we're coming to 10 to go right now.
Then to go straight.
P3.
So I'm trying to see, how are the guys behind us? How are they coming and how quickly, all those kinds of things. That's what's going to make this fun. As I'm trying to stay out of the way because these guys obviously are fast on these brand new tires. They were fast anyway.
Got one inside. Clear.
All right, so there goes fourth. That puts us into fifth, I believe, if I keep this thing straight long enough to glance down.
P4.
And Hocevar is right there. So the strategy of the AI right now is certainly working out for them.
Got one outside. Keep to the bottom.
And it's all because of their long run speed.
Keep low. Clear to the top.
All right, so again, I'm going to try to give some room here. We got some fast traffic coming through.
P5.
Got one outside. Keep low. Clear outside.
Regardless of how this turns out, I still feel like this was the best strategy for us. We were losing huge chunks of time being out there on those old tires. So I think coming in was still our best bet to try to cut this in half. Now the AI, unfortunately for us,
Keep digging.
they are not losing as
Sixth
much
place.
time on the long run as we are. So now, can we...
The gap to Rhodes ahead is increasing. It's now 1.4 seconds.
All right, this is Jack Wood. I'm going to move out of his way. Okay, never mind. He wants the bottom.
Inside. Clear.
That was not for position.
That car is a lap down.
All right, now we're going to hang in here for a top 10. That would be a great race after what happened at Indy.
The guy behind's reeling you in. The gap's now 2.4 seconds.
All right, 2.4. That will be for... He was in 7th. And then right behind him is Majeski in 8th. So we're going to have to work here for a top 10.
Five laps to go.
Ooh, yeah, top 10. It seems easy at this point because we're in 6th and you're thinking, wow, surely you're not going to lose that much time. But remember, all of these guys are on much fresher tires than we are at this point. So they're making up huge chunks of time on us. So being behind us, 2 seconds or more doesn't really matter a whole lot because they're making up a lot of time each and every lap. I do think now that we have a good shot at a top 10. Not sure about 6th position at this point, but we're just out here doing our thing. We're the only one on our strategy, and I'm still going to argue that it's worked out beautifully for us. Now, if you're the AI...
Come on, Brian. Push, push, push. We can get this guy.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be getting anybody. This is where he's going to start to get frustrated. Like, what are you doing?
B7.
Final few laps, you're losing all your spots. All right, we can do this. I see 9th is back there, Stuart Friesen.
The gap in front is increasing. It's now 0.8.
Right front tire's worn out.
Yes, it is. Timed out perfectly.
The gap behind has now decreased to 0.8. 2 laps remaining.
Here's that tone of voice. 2 laps remaining. Almost like you're just blowing it right now. Passive aggressive.
White flag next time I have a stripe.
I was just wondering about that. When are we going to get the white flag? All right, here we go. Final trip around.
White flag, 1 more lap.
I still can't believe he hasn't just blown by us. Oh, that's tight.
Got one inside. Keep it on top. Keep high.
Trying to hold him down if I can. No, just can't. No grip. Well, that's the closest we're going to get to the high side today. And this has worked out beautifully. I'm very happy
P8.
with that finish.
Good result,
Very
mate. Well
happy.
There's a flag. It's over.
We got up as high as 5th
Great
during
job,
that
driver.
race. I'm ecstatic with that. Given where our practice times were, I'm ecstatic with that. So let's go ahead and pull over here. We'll take a quick look at the standings rather than driving all the way back around. So we come in 8th position, just inside the top 10. Let's actually get back out of this screen. I will pull up the results here in VR, and let's take a quick look. So John Hunter, no surprise there, he gets the win. We ended up about 14.5 seconds behind.
Okay, that's the end. Let's get out of here. Try and forget this one, eh?
Seriously? 8th position? He wants to forget that? No, thank you. I'm quite happy with that. So John Hunter, Chandler Smith, Zane Smith, and Ben Rhodes come home in the top 5. Oh, along with Carson Hocevar. So no surprise on any of the top 5. This was a great race, and it was a clean race. We got to make a green flag pit stop, so today was a lot of fun. Hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. Thank you so much for joining me, and stick around for more custom career mode and VR gameplay.